It's when you're no longer influenced about pursuing being right. But that line that divides that, where you no longer are satisfied with being right. So when you're no longer chasing that, I need to be right, I need to be right, it's just happening by default. That is, my opinion, the clearest indication that you're probably prepared, at least the earliest stages of it. As soon as you start trading with funds or even a funded account, I'm sure you're going to have that magical experience where suddenly it really matters now. It matters if you're right. And then you start that whole process all over again, desensitizing yourself to the pursuit of being right. Now, right is all right, I guess. Wrong is not necessarily bad. Meaning that you can get into a trade, you can get into an investment idea, a setup. Everything look like it's lining up for you. And as soon as you enter the trade, something just doesn't feel right. You give it a little bit of time, and then finally, you see enough to know that what you're looking at is not a viable setup anymore. And you do what is appropriate. You abort the trade. You turn it off, close it, it's done. Whatever loss, whatever result, you accept it. That's being wrong. But that's not being wrong in a bad way. It's being right about being wrong. And many of you, like me and everyone else that's come up in this industry, in the beginning, when you're trying to do your analysis, you want your analysis to be right. Because you think that right is always profitable. No. Think about how many times you were right about the direction, but got shaken out, stopped out. Right about the trade idea, but didn't push the button. So you can be right and be wrong. So it's a matter of perspective. It's not a pursuit for you or me or anyone else that's in this industry try to tell the future with these candlesticks. It's not our endeavor to be right. Our endeavor is to be consistent, doing the same things that's been measured, studied, and has shown to provide a probability that usually ends up in what the past has shown, but that's not indicative of the future. That's that gray area. And you have to embrace not being right all the time and being right enough. But there's a time when you get consistent with your outlook on the marketplace, your timing, your selection, bias, all those things that they come in alignment. And when you no longer have any real concern, not that you are numb to it, because that's a totally different thing, but you're indifferent to it. Obviously, everyone wants to see the outcome be favorable for them. But there's this state of mind that you're going to reach, and you really won't know what this feels like until you finally get there. And I'll talk about how you get there in a few minutes. But for now, the way I identify it is when you have a trade idea that you've engaged, you're in the trade now. The market's moving around, and you are absolutely disconnected in terms of emotion or needing it to be right. And equally so, you're not worried, you're not concerned if you get stopped out. The second one I'm going to talk about first. The reason why you wouldn't be concerned about being stopped out is because you know, if you've been doing the back testing, studying, watching real-time price action with me, you can see that these things are predictable. They're based on time delivery. And these structures that come into the marketplace that present our opportunities And it may not be an opportunity that you have identified yet. You haven't found your model, but that's okay. You'll find it. It'll come to you. But you don't worry about that outcome being unfavorable, because you know that one transaction, that one idea that you're placing a laboratory experiment around, which is a speculation that you're looking for a displacement in price from where it is right now and where you believe it's going to go, and limiting how far it can move against you. So that stop out, if it happens, you're not worrying about it. In fact, you're completely indifferent to it. Meaning, if it does stop out, no big deal. If it runs to your target, no big deal. It's just one transaction. It's one thing that you're doing right now that absolutely has no power over removing you from your entire career. Let's flip the script now. As much as we are not concerned about losing, having a bad result, being stopped out, we're not worrying about being right. We're not worrying about it going to our profit target. We're not worrying about doing a full pull. A full pull is whatever size position you build up, you take all of it off at your target, and that's it. It's all or nothing. And while you're learning, it's important not to have that mindset. No matter who tells you otherwise, it's important for you to reward yourself incrementally. Over time, you'll know when the trades are really in your favor to do full pulls, where you don't take any partials, you're just managing the trade with a stop loss. But that takes time. It also takes time getting past the point of needing to be right. Because right doesn't equate to being profitable. It sounds like it's an impossibility, because if you buy and it goes up, you should have made money, right? But you know that doesn't always work like that. You get shaken out of it, scared, or stop loss hit. But you're right. Remember, it went where you thought it was going to go. And when you're no longer looking at those moves where you were correct and where you thought the market was going to go, you had the draw and liquidity correct, the bias was correct, you knew where it was going to react to, but something didn't line up perfectly, whether you were just a little late getting in or a little too early and getting stopped out and then too afraid to get back in. Whatever the factors are, when you are no longer worried about or concerned about being right about that trade, you have now the mindset it's needed really to do live trading with live funds, whether it be funded or your real money. But no one's going to be able to, and I can't do this for you, but no one is going to be able to tell you the proper timing for you to take that risk on. And it is a risk. But you need to have that desensitized state of mind where you're not holding yourself to a scorecard of how many times I can be right, how many times can I avoid being wrong. And many of you, and I went through this too, you're keeping score on your emotional commitment to a trade. Now think about that. You're measuring your emotional commitment to every trade you're putting on right now when you're new. What separates the trader that thinks like that from someone that's consistently profitable? They're not holding their entire career up by the results of that one transaction. They're not leveraging so much that even if it doesn't pan out, it is insignificant in the grand scheme of things. That one thing, that one transaction, that one idea, that one decision didn't materialize in a manner that was favorable for you. But you're not worried about being right. That state of mind is what I'm getting at with this particular podcast or Twitter space, when being right is no longer enough. See, right now in the beginning, everybody wants to be right. That's your scorecard. How many times can you be right in public? How many times can you be right in your private demo trading or tape reading? And you're building this idea, if you're doing it like this, you're building this idea of reporting to yourself as a scorecard or a report card on the basis of how many times you're right. When you make decisions in the average everyday life, the things that you want to see happen for you sometimes doesn't pan out like that. Something happens, traffic keeps you from getting into work on time. It wasn't your fault. You made the decision, though, to leave when you did. But you didn't know that traffic jam was going to tie you up. And then you may have some kind of repercussion at work. You were heading to work. You had good intentions. You were right about doing that, but you didn't get there on time. So you missed the mark. That's no different with trading. You're going to get up. You're going to start your day. Open your charts up. You're going to have a game plan. You're going to wait for the market to do specific things to line up a setup for you. And you're going to push a button. And once that button is pushed and you're in there, all control has been removed from you. The only thing you can control is the risk and how much time you stay in that trade. Everything else is out of your control. And it's interesting as a psychological experiment that all of you have the opportunity to measure yourself in. When you learn how to do what I'm teaching, it at some point becomes easy to do it in demo. You get confident that you can do it consistently. Sometime in the future, for you, you'll decide when being right is no longer enough. You'll want to trade. You'll want to do a funded account, or you'll want to speculate with your own live funds. And when you push the button then, you don't have that blank void of, if I'm wrong, I don't lose anything. Now you have, I got to be right. Because if I'm not right, I lose money. And now where's your mind focusing? You're worrying about the risk too much. There's a great deal of acceptance that's required for us to do this with real money. And that risk is, unfortunately, something you need to embrace. You can't shy away from it. Because if you are shy to risk, you can't do this in live funds. And a lot of people discover that they can't do it without going through some kind of growing pains. And some of that is very long and arduous. It's just daunting to get through for some of you. But you have to be prepared for that being the case for you. Because you're wrestling with wanting to be right again and not have that feeling of, if I'm wrong, it doesn't hurt. That's the reason why we teach to be completely bored. You shouldn't be excited about it. If it goes to your target, okay. I mean, are you going to work every day thinking, man, look at this. I got here again on time and I get to spend all these hours again for the man. I hope he appreciates me. No, of course not. It's just something that you do. It's a routine. But you need to make your trading just like that. And the only way you can get it like that is by completely desensitizing yourself to the outcome. Making it all about, am I following the rule? Am I following the protocol? Am I managing risk impeccably? Are you doing everything to preserve capital first and foremost. Because if you're doing that, and your model is rooted in sound logic and things that I've been teaching and proving that exist in Price Action Live, you have the best opportunity for you to submit to that process. And over time, this is why it's important, if you ever make the step or leap of faith into trading with a funded account or live funds in your own brokerage account, you start with a very, very insignificant amount of money. And you go through that whole process again of desensitizing yourself. Don't make it about, I got to make a 5-figure withdrawal. I got to make $1,000 withdrawal. If you start putting time limits on your goals in something like this industry, it makes you impulsive. It ushers in fear of missing out and plain old-fashioned fear. You foster performance anxiety, and you don't realize it's going on, but you're doing it to yourself. So the reason why I teach the way I do is it gives you the best probability of finding yourself in that sweet spot mentally where you don't care what the outcome is going to be. You know what you're doing is rule-based. This is what time the market should be doing this. This is where the market should be gravitating towards, and this is the draw on liquidity. I'm submitting to that idea when I'm looking at the charts, and I'm waiting for something to be a catalyst that I've been studying for months and did back testing on. I see it makes perfect sense to me, and I know where to place my stop. I know when I would move my stop. I know when I'm going to take my first and second and third, if it's possible, partial. I'm also looking for the things that would negate the idea. What kills the trade idea? These are all things that you have to have understood. Just because you have been consistent here and there with demo, don't think that you are prepared to trade with a funded account or live funds. You're not. You have to be completely bored of the outcome. It's the same thing. You're doing the same thing over and over again. There's going to be a state of impatience because you'll get to this consistency stage where you can do demos and you're able to find it and do well with it. Very little drawdown. It goes to your targets and you're done. And you start forming these disciplined ideas about how many times you're going to trade per day or session, and then you're going to stop. No matter how good you feel like you're on the side of the marketplace, no matter how dialed in you feel, it's time to close and get up from the table, take your chips, cash them in, and come back tomorrow. But that's very hard because being right is addictive. Being right is what everybody wants to experience all the time. And they want to feel that consistently too soon. It's something you can't obtain quickly. You have to go through a process of submitting to back testing, studying old moves, tape reading, then demo trading. It's hard. It's very hard to filter out all the bullshit and nonsense that's going on. And if you have, like, for instance, me, you have something that happens in your life that you don't see coming, comes out of left field, and it totally messes with your head, and you can't focus. You can't trade. What do? Are you going to plop down and just say, well, I need to feel good about whatever it is I'm going through and be distracted by it and take trades and not follow a model, not follow a plan, and then get the results that you don't want? See, you won't understand or appreciate that coming out of a 1-week workshop or a 40-day training program, looking at yin and yang fucking symbols. None of that stuff, none of that is going to help you. Being in the charts, studying it, and discovering the weaknesses that you have, and all of us have them. I still have weaknesses that I have to wrestle. I have to subdue these things. I'm angry that this took place in my personal life. I'm angry that my son hurt himself. I'm thankful that he's still with us. And I want to go out here today and literally make $100,000 and shove it up the ass of everybody that fucking has anything to say about me. But I know that that's my anger. And I'm going to see things that I want to see. And you won't understand that in your first few months. You won't understand that about yourself in the first year. But you're sure as hell going to know about it in your second year. Because you'll have a baseline to look back and say, hey, look at this. This is what I did because I journaled this, and this is what I was feeling at the time. This is what was going on in my personal life. These were my fears and my concerns, and this was my goals for that time, and I didn't hit it, and I didn't feel good about it, and it made me reckless. It made me impulsive. So fuck all these gurus bullshit, okay, talking about how, it takes too long to learn ICT. Go fuck yourself. If you don't want to learn how to do this, go play games with somebody else. Go play games with someone else. Okay? Because you're still going to wreck your fucking ass doing whatever it is that they're trying to have you do. You can get lucky, folks. There's people that get lucky all the time, and they have to reset their fucking combines. They get an account and they blow it. The numbers aren't matching. It ain't the same account.